Happy Sunday. How is everyone? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. It's a lot going on in my life and in America, and I just hope that wherever you are doing well. We're going to get started. I sent out the announcement yesterday, and this time I actually added a recipe to the post. So if you saw the post yesterday, the recipe for what we're going to do in the Instant Pot is in there. If you'd like to look at it to see if you got what's in the cupboard, that you can join with us as we do it. Okay, I'm Donna Goodman. I am a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a health educator, breast cancer survivor, and I'm co-owner of Lifestyle Therapeutics, which is a Lifestyle for Better Health Center in Huntsville, Alabama, where my husband offers lifestyle physical therapy, and I do wellness coaching and plant-based cooking classes. That came out of our experience as health professionals related to my experience with breast cancer 24 years ago. And in 2 weeks, I will enter year 25 of being free from breast cancer, with the benefit being because of my Creator God who gave me grace and my decision to make healthy lifestyle changes. And because my husband and I really believe in the value of making healthier changes, we want to meet and connect with as many people as we possibly can. And so that's why, while we're coming out of COVID, I decided that we were no longer able to do our monthly classes in the clinic, but we decided that every Sunday morning at 7 I'd be live and I would be showing you some things that we would have done if we were in the clinic. In addition to that, for the last, it'll be 8 weeks now, next week, we have been looking at lifestyle choices that we can make. We have gone to bed, we have exercised, we've been eating a lot more plant foods, we have decided to cut stress out, let stuff go, especially the things that you cannot control. And last week we talked about the value of hydrotherapy, water inside the body and outside of the body. I hope that you took advantage of it. We had a patient this week at the office who was experiencing some challenges, and I suggested to her that she just get in her jacuzzi and add some herbs to it: eucalyptus, lavender, ginger, orange, citrus, and just relax. And those sorts of things change the circulatory processes in our body. It helps us to relax and sleep better, and it helps to melt away some of the stress. So I hope that you were able to do that. I did a combination of hot and cold showers and hot baths, and I also drank plenty of water. This week what we're working on is our breathing. And in light of all the stuff that is happening here in America that has impacted the world around race, a lot of us are stressed about that. And one of the things that I have noticed as a health professional is when someone is in a stressful situation, we often tell them just take a minute and breathe. And literally, when you decide to slow down and take a deep breath, it's calming. And it helps to slow down things that are going crazy inside the system. And so we're encouraging you this week to do that. In addition to that, we want you to pay attention to how much fresh air you're getting. Yesterday, I sat outside on my patio for about an hour, just breathing in the air, walking on our property, and smelling the flowers and up in the garden. And one of the reasons that that is important is because the air outside has a negative charge in it that improves our circulation in our bodies, and the air inside the house has a positive charge that's not good for us. And so I have mentioned before that in our home, we keep windows open year-round, whether the air conditioner is running or the heater is running, because that air changes the capacity of the home as far as to help you breathe better. And you probably notice it a lot more in the wintertime when you have the heat on and it dries the air out, and you get up in the morning with a scratchy throat, and that's because the heat has dried the air out. But when you have this exchange with the good fresh air coming inside the house, it really makes a difference, and it helps you to sleep better and feel better, improves your circulation, all those amazing sorts of things. So this week, we want to take a time to breathe. Go outside, do some deep breathing, make sure that you have fresh air circulating through your home. What we're doing today, I'm excited about. When I was probably a teenager, my mom introduced me to this concept of having appliances that made your cooking load easier. And while I still am struggling with people who just don't like to cook, love to cook, because I get it if you don't love it. But if you just don't like cooking, sometimes it's because it's so much involved in it. And what I wanted to share today was some options that you could use. And one of the things that my friend Glenda introduced me to was the Instant Pot. And there are a variety of them on the market, but the one that she and I really prefer that you get is the literal Instant Pot, because it's stainless steel. And a lot of the other ones are made with artificial non-stick coating, or they may be made out of aluminum, and all of those things can be damaging to the body. So she talked about it for about a year or two to me, and I'm like, I ain't getting that. And then I decided I was going to get it, and it has just changed my life. And one of the things that I did, because I'm plant-based, is I just began to convert recipes that I had used in the past to plant-based versions of it. And I just went online and I Googled, how to cook collard greens, how to cook beans. And there's some amazing things if you Google it, or if you go to Pinterest. And online, I know my friend Linda Mims Bartholomew and I are members of groups on Facebook that are Instant Pot groups, that are vegan Instant Pot groups, that you might find a really good resource for you. And so the Instant Pot has revolutionized a lot of cooking, and the thing that I like about it is you don't have to pay any attention to it. You put the stuff in there, you press the buttons, and you can go out of the kitchen. And when the cooking is done, it will cool itself down. And so this morning, the recipe that I shared with you is the Instant Pot chili mac. And I literally came up with this one day because I just wanted it. I have this version of the Instant Pot, and what I'm going to do is put it on the counter behind me and plug it in so we can get started cooking this Instant Pot chili mac. And if you're cooking with me today, just go ahead and plug it in, and what we want to do is turn it on saute. And as we do that, plug it in, it should come on off, and then you literally want to press saute so that you can get it heated. As it is heating up, it's going to say hot. This has 30 seconds on it. It's going to say hot, and that's usually when I start to put stuff in there to actually brown it. What I have decided to do today is to use 2 veggie meats. One is the Morningstar Farms Italian sausage style crumbles and the Beyond Meat sausages. My family loves these, and it really gives a great flavor to the dish. And so we're going to take a couple of these links and we're going to put them in the pan. The thing that I like about the Beyond sausage links is they are made with coconut oil. So as they're heated, it's literally like if you're cooking animal flesh and the fat is released. And so you don't have to use as much oil as you may normally do it. And if you are oil free, then you don't have to use any oil. You can saute your stuff with water, or you can just put all your ingredients in here. But I really like the way that it kind of crunches up when you use a little oil and does the browning. So I have this veggie meat here, and I'm going to break this up into smaller pieces so that when the pot is ready, I can put it in there. I write a column for the oldest Christian magazine in America called Message Magazine. My friends Claudia, Marion Allen, and Carmela McCrawford are in charge over there. Carmela is the actual editor, and Claudia has really assisted modern times with online presence. And a lot of the things that I cook, I also include in the column that I write for them. And so I'm encouraging you to go to messagemagazine.com or to the Message Magazine page on Facebook and find out how you can subscribe to it. We have for over 100 years been sharing information, but how you can also improve your marriages and your finances and your relationships with others. And there's also always in there some information about something that's going on relevant to people in our community and how we can improve ourselves that way. Okay? It doesn't say hot yet, so I'm going to keep going. When that gets hot, then I'll put the meat in. One of the things that I have learned in the last few years since our son moved out is that I don't like to have a bunch of food that I can't use up right away, and I had to learn how to do that because I was in the habit of cooking a lot of stuff for a lot of people. And I have fallen in love with Roma tomatoes. So my niece's daughter, Jayarna, lived with us for part of her schooling, and it was after she lived here that I'm like, you know what, I can do these Roma tomatoes. And these are excellent tomatoes to use when you're canning, and they are especially good because they thicken up if you want to make sauces. And so I have just fallen in love with these, and I take them and I cut them up and I put them in a lot of dishes because they offer flavor and texture. And so for this recipe, we're just going to add some of these chopped up Roma tomatoes. And of course, my husband has planted these in our garden this year, and we're just waiting for those to come. Literally last week, we started picking our greens, and we discovered that we had some volunteer potato plants out there, and he brought in a red potato. I don't know if I brought it in the kitchen, but he brought in a red potato that we weren't expecting to get, but it volunteered from last year. And we can see the yellow squash that's already flowering and starting to produce, and our herbs are going really well. And he has looked at the watermelon and cantaloupe, and that seems to be doing well also. He's the one who is answering some of your questions while you're online. Okay, he just came back in the kitchen and got some red potato for me. You can't see it because it's not really big, but this is the one that just kind of popped up out of the ground the other day. And a couple years ago, we probably got close to 100 sweet potatoes. Last year, we probably got about 40 butternut squash, and he's probably got about 15 or 20 potato plants out there, red potatoes, yellow potatoes, white potatoes, so we're really looking forward to getting those. All right, this is now hot, so I'm going to put this in here first to get it browning. And one of the things that happens when you do this is it can make it kind of sticky, so when you add your vegetables or your broth, that will deglaze it. I'm going to put in about 3 tomatoes today because these are really good size. And anytime during the summer now, you're going to get a lot better buck for your money because things are in season. And so you'll get larger varieties of what you are actually purchasing. Okay, I don't know that I'm answering any questions that you may have. Hopefully he is handling that sort of stuff. All right, so this is browning now, and I'm going to add some of this Morningstar Farms Italian sauces. I tried this. Morningstar Farms historically has made vegetarian meat substitutes out of soy and wheat gluten, and there was a change of ownership several times. So the original recipes that they actually used changed a lot, and they started to include a lot of dairy products in it, milk and eggs. Recently, they have been committed to changing that, and so now if you go into the grocery store and you're looking to use any of these products, just make sure that it's the one that has vegan on it. And on some of these, there's a V on the front. On the others of it, it says in the back that it's vegan if indeed you're pure plant-based. And they are beginning to pride themselves on being non-genetically modified for the vegetables and ingredients that they put in here, because they also were one of those organizations that use genetically modified ingredients. And so just double check for that. Okay. Now, according to our recipe, what we're supposed to do is to add onion and bell pepper and garlic. And literally, that's what I'm going to do now. I have already cut up a bunch of my stuff, and I decided when I make red stuff, I like to put peppers in there that are a different color so that you're able to see it, and it adds some real visual attractiveness to it. So I'm going to now add this to the pot. I'm going to put in my red onion and my bell pepper and fresh garlic. And if you don't have the fresh garlic, of course, you can use the powdered garlic or the granulated garlic. Some people don't like the texture of it on their tongue. So you could use the granulated, and that will give it flavor just as well. The other thing that we have in our garden is fresh garlic, and it's taken us a few years to get that right. My friend Elizabeth Gentle from Channel 48 literally was telling us how she had some of her grandma's garlic, and we are discovering that when you get it just right to grow and it's finished growing, then you pick it and you can dry it out to use it, but then you take some of what was grown and keep replanting that, and it's just amazing to us. Garlic is something that we use in everything, and I think that that would be something that you could consider. I was talking to a friend last week who said they were just going to put some in a pot rather than putting it out in the garden, so you got that option as well. And of course we know that garlic was used as an antibacterial and an antifungal, and it has helped an awful lot before they came up with a lot of antibiotics because of the power that God has placed inside of it. Okay, so this is simmering. The thing that amazes me the most about this particular recipe, this is something that you would boil on top of the stove, saute all your stuff, mix together, and let it sit. And I have discovered over the years that it's not necessary to boil your pasta before you make it into the dish that you're going to make. And so I literally put raw pasta into a lot of my dishes. And those of you who have owned any of the books that I've written, Cookin Up Good Health, Something to Shout About, or still Cooking Up Good Health, are familiar with the lasagna that I do and another one-pot skillet that I do that doesn't, you don't cook the pasta beforehand, but you make sure you have enough liquid in the pot so that it will swell up and be tender. And of course I've had people like, Donna, that's not going to work. And they stand there and they watch it, or they do it themselves. As a matter of fact, one of my big sissies, Garney, Donna, I just can't do it. It's not going to work. And she did it under steam, literally. So don't go in the grocery store buying that extra pasta that says that it is specially made so that you don't have to boil it. You can just buy the regular pasta, put it in your pan, make sure you have enough liquid in there, and it will cook until it's tender. Okay. We're going to let this be all. We're going to turn this off. And then we're going to add the other ingredients to this, y'all. How much easier does it get? I think what I'll do is bring this back over here so you can see it. Okay. So now I'm going to add the other ingredients. And those other ingredients are this 1 pound bag of whole grain elbow macaroni noodles. That's what's going to go in there. Then I'm going to add some corn. Then I'm going to add some beans. And one of our patients, Linda, was at our cooking class when we did this, and she liked the fact that these were not really big, red, thick beans. These are just small red beans. So I'm going to add those to the dish. And I'm going to add some tomato sauce to the dish. And of course, if you prefer not to use canned stuff, you can cook your own and have the actual fresh. So that's going to all go in there. And then what I'm going to do is add my seasonings. For this one, I'm just using chili powder. And you can always adjust your seasonings after it's done. And I'm going to use some cumin. And this is what gives it that amazing Mexican kind of flavor. And I'm going to add the fresh tomatoes. And these are already cut too. And you see that I'm putting that in there just like this. Now, if you want to, you can add more garlic to it, but you don't have to. Let's say you're looking at your house and you don't have these ingredients. If you have a package of taco seasoning, you can use the taco seasoning if that's what you are used to using. Double check the recipe. I think that's all that goes in there. And I'm going to save my cheese until the last ingredient. So I'm going to stir this up now. And then I'm going to add about 3½ cups of water. And literally, y'all, I'm going to put this over there for 6 minutes. And it's going to be on and popping when we're done. Okay? That's done. Here's the water that goes in here. I got about 3 cups. We're going to add this to it. And I'm going to stir just a little more to get the water to the bottom of this. And then it's time to rock and roll. All right, back over here. We're going to plug it in. We're going to put the top on, and you're going to listen for the clicks and the sounds that it makes when it shuts down. It's a little, nice little sound. Then what you're going to do is make sure that your lever is on sealing. Because this is actually acting like a pressure cooker, and you have to make sure that it's shut so that the pressure can build in it first, and then it'll release the steam, and then it'll cook. And then I'm going to press cook, manual, and I'll put it on 7 minutes just to make sure everything is done. And that's all I have to do with this. We're going to let this sit. And you'll see or hear as it starts to build up and the steam will build up. One of the things is when you're doing this, if you use hot ingredients, hot water, if you've already sauteed something in there, then it's not going to take as long for it to build the pressure and start cooking. Okay, the other thing that I want to show you real quickly to do that you can also do, and those of you who have been who have bought the book are on a special mailing list, so you got some more recipes today. And we're going to do collard greens out of the garden, y'all. This one just absolutely blew my mind. So, a lot of times in the summertime when you grow collard greens, it takes a longer time to cook. And in our culture, people talking about, I don't want them greens, they done cooked until they, everything going out of them and all of that. Literally what's happening is in the wintertime, the frost has hit the greens, so it makes them tender, so they don't take as long to cook. And a lot of us in the summertime are trying to get the same consistency green that we get in the wintertime, and because the frost doesn't happen in the summertime, the greens are not as tender. So, my friend Ann Sylvester Jones told me, Donna, put them things in the freezer for a little while, girl, and that'll help to get a frost effect, and cook them in a pressure pot. My cousin Kim grew up, her mom cooked in the pressure pot all the time. My husband's mother, my mother-in-law, they did it. I wasn't so excited about it. But since we've gotten this electric one, I have really fallen in love. So literally, y'all, this is all you have to do to cook your greens. I'm going to put some in the bottom of the pot. I might actually be able to put all of these in here because it's not as many as I usually cook. And then I'm going to put the seasonings in here, y'all. That's it. That is it. It don't get no better than that. Okay, so what I cook my greens with usually are red onion. So I'm going to put red onion in here. Plenty garlic. I'm going to put fresh garlic in there. And then I'm going to add bell pepper because I like the color. And I learned years ago, Claire English, when we lived in Atlanta, asked me to do a presentation for the Decatur Seventh-day Adventist church that I was going to. And he wanted me to make Ethiopian collard greens. And the Ethiopians, who are also African, like to put red bell pepper and ginger and cayenne pepper in theirs. And so I have always now cooked them. My Uncle Mike always makes his the same way as well. Literally, y'all, this is it. So I'm going to add some red pepper flakes. These are going to be a little spicy. And you can either use the Better Than Bouillon, or you can use the McKay's, and we like the flavor of the McKay's. So we're going to put some McKay's flavor in here. And then a lot of people are in the habit of having a smoke flavor in their vegetables, especially in black communities or in the South. And the one that I like to use is called bacon. So I'm going to put some bacon in here. And if you don't have access to bacon, you can get smoked paprika. You could get the liquid smoke and add in there. And then I'm going to add some water, y'all. Just a little bit of water. And that's going to take care of that. I'm going to put in 2 cups of water. But you don't have to. You could do like 1.5 cups if you want to. And the other thing that happens when you eat winter greens is they sweeten. So I'm going to put a little sugar in here because there has not been any frost to sweeten these greens up. And then I'm going to put them over here and plug it up on this other wall. And we're going to have greens in about 20 minutes. I hope this is making sense to you. And I hope those who are cooking are having a good time. Okay. And so then we'll put these in. And we'll cook them. Okay, so this has gone out, so I'll do these when I get off the air. All right. Easy as 1, 2, 3, and I'll show you later on what the greens are like. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about with you for a few minutes this morning, and we only have a few more minutes, is if you have a garden or not, but you want to preserve some food for the summer, there are several ways that you can do it. And because of COVID-19 and the shortage in food and the spike in prices, summertime is a really good time. Those of you who grew up in the South with Southern grandmamas used to sit on the porch and shell those beans and peas to make whatever she wanted you to make. My mom learned how to do this when we were living in South Jersey. Bird's Eye had farms there, and she found out that we could go to those farms and pay like $10 for a whole row and get all of the food that was left, which was gleaning. And so she would drag me and my brother and my two cousins, Leslie and June, and we go out there and we got peppers and sweet potatoes, corn on the cob, oh man, beans and peas. And then when we came home, then we have to clean that stuff and we would bag them up and put them in the freezer. And that was my personal introduction to it. Then when I was a home economist for the Georgia Extension Service, I literally got to work with women who were creating guides on how to do canning. The So Easy to Preserve is the Bible to me of food preservation. And I was there when I watched Paulette Ibarra and Susan Reynolds create this. I watched them test the recipes. And then after they had gotten it right, then we went and we did the recipes. And then we trained home economists across the state of Georgia how to use it. The thing for me was I still was not convinced about that pressure canner. But this year, because of COVID and all the other stuff that's going on, and my husband is raising an amazing garden, the Holy Spirit said to me, I have not given you the spirit of fear, Donna, so go on and get you a pressure canner. And so that's what we decided to do. But when you're talking about canning, all you're trying to do is preserve the food. Fresh is absolutely the best, then frozen, then canned, and of course you can dry things. And so if you want to just do some freezing, what you can literally do is go in the grocery store and you will look for the plastic bags. And there's a difference in the storage bag than it is to the freezer bag. The freezer bag is heavier. And this is the kind of bag that you want to use. And if you get your hands on a copy of So Easy to Preserve, they have updated it. Or if that's not what you want to do, just Google some stuff, go to Pinterest, and there's a lot more information available to you at your fingertips. And literally, when you are freezing things, you can take the strawberries and dry, individual freeze them on a pan tray, and then put them in your bags so that when you put them in the freezer, they don't all clump together. You want to leave what's called headspace in there because they're going to swell a little bit, and then you just fill it, push out the air, leave the headspace, zip lock it, and then you can put the date that you put it on there and what's inside of there. Because this can last maybe 1 to 3 years, depending on how quickly that you eat it up. If you don't want to do this kind of freezing, then the other thing that you can do is literally can. And last week when I made the jelly, you saw some of the jars that you used. This was a fun thing for me back when I taught and learned how to do this, to have the handler that you're going to actually use to get these, because you need to sterilize them first in hot water before you can anything in them. And you can choose between wide mouth or narrow mouth. And the wide mouth is really great for soups and gravies and stuff. And the narrow mouth more for juices. When my husband's grandmother died and we went to her house for the funeral, her basement was full of jars of fresh grape juice. And so this is something that you can do. The thing with canning is there are two kinds: water bath canning or pressure canning. And the water bath canning is what you want to do if you are canning those things that are high in acid. So things like tomatoes, fruits, anything that's high in acid, tomato sauces, you can just put in your bottle, and then you can put them inside a water bath canner. And this is a canner that I just bought that serves literally as a water bath canner and a pressure canner. Some of the other water bath canners have like a blue pot with like checks on it. That's the traditional one. And if you don't have that, you can just use a large pot, but you're going to need to put some kind of towel in the bottom before you put your bottles in there. When you're using this sort of pot, it comes with this little stand that goes inside, and then you have water in here, and then you have filled your jars with whatever you're going to do, and then you put your jars inside of there, and then you boil them in water, and that gets you to the boiling point, which will kill certain bacteria, so that 6 months, 8 months from now, you can eat this and not be worried about it. The thing with vegetables is that they are low acid, and you have to increase the pressure in this pot so that you will get to a temperature of 240 degrees, which kills all the other bacteria that are in there. And the thing that blew my mind when I learned how to do this and taught other people how to do it is that you're killing all the bacteria, but there's one called botulinum that can kill you. And after you have canned everything, you're listening for the pop of the can, and if you has popped or not, and you know that it's ready. But when you go to open it, it shouldn't make any swoosh noises. And when you take this ring off, this should be sealed to it. So when you go like this, if it's a swoosh, you don't want to use that can because something has sat in there and it has multiplied. And if it's botulinum, it can kill you. The other thing that you can do is dry your vegetables and fruits. And literally, you can buy the dehydrator, or you can dehydrate outside. And Elizabeth Gentle and I talked a lot about last year how she grows her herbs, and then she hangs them up and lets them dry, and you can then crumble them and put them in a jar to use for bay leaves, that sort of stuff. The other thing that you can do is put them in your oven and dry them out overnight on the very lowest setting that is there. And the thing about drying is when you pull the liquid out, you are concentrating the nutrients in there. So like iron is really high in dry things like apricots and raisins. And you can do sun-dried tomatoes. A lot of people go to buy them. You can literally just dry them out. Last year, Audrey Johnson gave me some bell peppers and hot peppers, and I literally let them sit out until they dried up. So then I didn't have to worry. And when you're drying food like that, the storage for it is a lot better. The other thing that you can do is to buy one of those vacuum pack machines where you can vacuum pack it. And again, this is something that my girlfriend Glenda introduced me to. We didn't do it back 35 years ago when I was introduced to So Easy to Preserve, but that's another way to do it. And you can get one of those machines literally at Walmart or Target. You can get them online. You can get them at the big box stores like Costco and Sam's. And then it comes with plastic, and then you can get more plastic as you need it. And you can literally put your vegetables or whatever you're making in those packages, press out the air, vacuum seal them. And I was telling my husband this morning that they take less space when you're actually cooking and preserving than it would if it was in one of those jars. And so those are some of the options. You can also decide that you're going to cook up soups and spaghetti sauces, and you can make relishes this time of year because everything is fresh. And the amount of money that you save is tremendous. This year, we decided not to use plants. We went for seeds, which saved us a whole lot of money. We are watching as some of the things that are growing and have already gone back to seed, then they present more seed that we can put right back in the ground and grow some more stuff. We have volunteer stuff. And if you literally have all this in your garden, then you're not going to have to spend as much money when it comes in the wintertime. I think this is one of the best times of the year to make your relish for Thanksgiving. I do one with strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, cranberries, and pineapple. So you can freeze all that stuff now in the bag already together so that you have it ready for Thanksgiving, and then you can just go in the freezer and get it like you would go to the grocery store. The other thing that you can do when it comes to relieving yourself in the kitchen of all the heavy hard work is to cook in a crock pot. And I did an article for Message Magazine, and I've shared that with those who have bought the ebook. and you can put this in here like you would the Instant Pot and not have to worry so much about it. And what we like to do in the wintertime is to put beans on in there at night. And when we wake up in the morning, my husband loves Greater Northern bean stew. So I'll put the northern beans in the pot. And when we wake up in the morning, the house just smells like them. And you can just go in then and adjust your seasonings, and you haven't expended any other energy. You can also cook cake in the Instant Pot and in the crock pot. And anything that you would normally cook on the stove that would take time, you can utilize this. For those of you who are single or like us are empty nesting, you may not need the largest versions of any of these things. So make sure that you look in your grocery store for smaller versions, the mini pot. And my husband and I tend to use the mini pot a little more now that my son and all his friends aren't here anymore. So that's an option for you. And then the Instant Pot, I believe, comes in 3 sizes, so you can get a smaller one. The other thing, years ago, I don't know that they're still doing it, is there were places that the extension services across the year, people could literally bring their stuff and can it there. And so look that sort of stuff up if indeed that's not, you're not at the place where you can afford all this equipment. And then the advantage of being able to can or freeze is it's not just summertime, because you can do this throughout the year and extend the value of the food that you purchase. And if you garden year round, because you can also have a fall-winter garden, then you have that available for you as well. If you go, like we had peaches that I would have loved to can and make jelly of, but them darn squirrels ate all 600 of them. And so I'm looking now for one of the farms here locally so that I can go and get some peaches and I can actually make some things of that. And I perhaps am the one in the house who loves the peaches in my smoothies and stuff. And so I will save those in bags so that I'll be able to have that as well. Okay, I think that's everything for today that we're going to do. I'll post pictures later of what we've done. My husband is doing an amazing job this morning. He just came back down here again to get a picture of the canner that I used. My friend Linda Mims Bartholomew asked me if I would do a class like that. I'm praying about it, Linda, because I need to be sure that I'm not going to blow the roof off my house when I use this machine. Go online, look for some information like that. If this is what you want to do, choose which type of preservation that you want. And the beauty about preserving this way is you're in total control of all the stuff goes in there. Because when you buy the canned stuff, there's extra sodium added to it. But when you're canning it fresh yourself or freezing it, then you determine if you put any sodium at all in there. And you are in charge of that. I appreciate your time this morning. I hope that you have an amazing week. We're going to breathe. Just take a minute and breathe, and we're going to get through whatever it is. We're going to deep breathe. We're going to use that fresh air to challenge our systems to be healthier. I'm Donna Green Goodman. I'm a health educator who is also a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a friend, and a breast cancer survivor. About to go into year 25, and I'm so thankful to God. I appreciate the time you spend with me each Sunday morning. We've got another week to go. And if there are any things that you are interested in seeing me do, just put the message in the comments there, and I'll be happy to review it to see if that's something that we can do next week. I'm hoping that as we move forward coming out of COVID, you're making decisions for yourselves that are going to improve your health. I saw last night that D.L. Hughley was doing a comedy routine for whatever reason he felt he needed to, and he collapsed in the middle of it. And this morning I read that he actually now has been tested positive for COVID-19. We understand needing to restore the economy and all that sort of stuff, but you need to make decisions for yourself that are going to keep you healthy and the ones that you love around you. So focus on that, and then dig into Jesus and ask him how he's going to help to provide you. Because the thing that I'm learning during this COVID thing is we ain't in charge of nothing at all. And we think that when we go out every day to make that money, it's us. But it's really God providing for us. And my husband and I have learned over the last 3 months that we ain't in charge, but when we trust God, he gives us power to get wealth, and he's the one who provides everything for us. So I wish you well this week. I hope that those of you who cooked with me are going to enjoy this dish when you're done. Mine is now, it has already gotten to the place where it's cooking, so it's counting down now, so it'll be ready in about 4 more minutes. And then we'll adjust the flavorings and add the cheese. And you can use whatever cheese you want. I've got Follow Your Heart, Daya, and the BioLife. and just put some in there until it tastes like what you want and adjust the flavorings. And I hope that you have an amazing week this week. Coming out of COVID, make sure that we're cooking up good health. Love y'all. Bye.